Just watch this, he says.
Watch this.
Watch this.
When's the last time you said to someone, watch this? And,
I've never
tried
said
to do something.
Based on something I've done? No.
Yeah, you never know. I can't remember.
No.
Watch this. But, I don't want to talk
Didn't do it in...
I don't want to talk about what happens in the privacy of my own home.
You didn't say, hey, watch this.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
You're saying you've said that to your wife. Well, that's a whole escalation of the proceedings.
Yeah, I don't want to be
it?
talking about what happens in the privacy of my own home, mate.
No one wants to hear about it.
No, TMI. Yeah.
TMI, too much information.
Too much information, yes.
Which is a way of describing this week's show, potentially.
Yeah, we've been racking our brains about this.
We're overwhelmed with content ideas.
Debating content ideas. And
if you've got content ideas for the two blokes, feel free to let us know.
Yeah.
Not that we struggle for things to talk about, but gee whiz, companies, you've really missed...
It is, you know what, it's the period between TVs have all come out and then it's a bit of a lull. Then the mid-year is the Worldwide Developers Conference. Samsung has their launches, and it's like what do they call it? Hills and troughs, the valleys, and it's all like this. And we're in one of these ones. It's down the bottom here.
I suggest we take the week off. I don't think anyone would notice.
You think so? Yeah, they would. Do you reckon we get a lot of emails if we just didn't drop an episode this week?
I think I'd get
we would, mate.
I'd get like 2 text messages. I think. I reckon I could think of the people that would text me.
Right. You're seriously undervaluing the show, mate.
But
there'll be thousands of people saying, "Where the hell's my podcast?"
But saying it, but then moving on from it and just getting it again the next week. You know what I mean?
I guess so. But we're here, aren't we? We're here.
Oh no, we're here now.
We're here.
We're on.
Plus, they've got 5 other podcasts to listen to as well.
Well, that's why it'd be very hard to miss. Very easy to miss.
Yeah,
because of the absolute
they know
value.
They devoured Tech Guide. They devoured the Tech Guide podcast, and then maybe listen to EFTM as well.
Yeah, whatever.
You've looked at the numbers.
I know they're devouring Two Blokes Talking Tech and Two Blokes Talking Electric Cars,
of course,
in big numbers.
And our movie podcast is ranking, mate.
Well,
we are ranking, baby.
Electric Car Podcast is our number 1 show.
Is that right? Like in terms of listeners?
Listeners, yeah,
just pure listeners.
Pure listeners.
So that's built and held.
It's still growing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Two Blokes is just hanging in there, or we're building?
Very static.
It's plateaued a little bit. Is that what you're saying?
We're open to marketing ideas.
We're open to tell a friend about this podcast.
Stephen will give you.
I'll come over and see your place and say, watch this. And then who knows what's going to happen after that.
Maybe we should actually make a promo.
Yeah.
How's that for an idea?
Make a promo for Two Blokes.
Maybe we should film a promo.
Yeah.
And
share it on social media.
Actually pay money to promote it.
Really?
What do you think?
I'm up for that.
Like, that's marketing, isn't it?
This is marketing too. The product is the marketing.
I understand that, but
yeah. Yeah,
we're just talking to the same people.
You need to catch eye. Yeah, you can't sell a secret, can you?
That's correct.
Not that we're a secret. You want to get more people.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, let's make a promo.
Yeah,
vertical video.
I know. No, I agree. And in Tech Guide, I'm going to get back into my celebrity tech interviews again. I'm going to try to attract a different listener.
Oh mate, we're talking about this show, not yours.
I know, but I'm just saying the marketing. You've got to be constantly keeping it fresh.
I don't have time for that.
Maybe introduce the third bloke talking tech.
I don't have time for that.
I understand.
Someone did ring me that day and go, "Oh, this would be a great guest." I went, don't think so.
Yeah, how often have you listened to the show? That's my response. I get emails like those, and I think they're CC to you, but I manage to answer them first, and I go, hey, you haven't listened to our show before, have you?
Yeah, because Stephen's very rude on the email. We've discovered that in the last week or so.
No, I'm not. I'm
only rude on the road.
Forthright. Yeah.
Well, that plumber today, they got a phone call. His boss got a phone call.
Wow. Well,
he was driving like an idiot on the freeway. His phone number and company was on the car, so I switched my phone to private so that he couldn't get my phone number in case it was him that picked up the phone. Okay. And it was clearly someone in an office. And I just said, how many cars you got on the road? He goes, several. I said, can you ring number 02 because he's driving like, and he goes, I'll ring him again. And I went,
he's got runs on the board.
I think someone else might have rung just before me.
Well, I've got to say, you were pretty relaxed today driving. Trevor picked me up and actually chauffeured me here. I was in the back
Find
seat
that on Stephen's Instagram.
Of the Zika 09. I was in the business class seats in the back. And
first class experience I'd set it to, yeah.
And there was even cold drinks right there in front of me in the little fridge. It was great. That's how I might buy that car and employ you as my driver.
because I really want that job.
You weren't road raging too much. You were quite relaxed.
I was
You were
fine.
listening to your baseball, and I was just sort of getting on with my work in the
Until
back
you
seat.
turned it off and put some other rubbish on.
Yeah.
Press the
It was
chill
great.
mode button or something.
Yeah.
And
I liked it. I had the button, and then the TV comes down in the back seat. I'm thinking, look at this.
the only negative about that car is they need to make that TV useful.
Yeah. You can't cast your own stuff or watch stuff.
It'd
You can
be
hear
unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable if you
Imagine
could
the
just
kids in the back, having the
cast your
kids in the back of
YouTube
that
or your
thing.
Netflix up to that.
Yeah.
So good.
Wow.
Anyway,
but this
just
isn't the EV podcast,
product
remember,
feedback.
right? This is the Two Blokes Talking Tech
Yeah,
podcast,
spoiler alert.
remember?
We'll talk about the Zika in
They're
a couple of weeks, I
they're
guess.
blurring into one another, aren't they? We're going to talk movies. We did a movie podcast this week as well. This week, the podcast this week is Ghost. Yeah, Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore. Yeah, some great ones coming up though.
Breaking. I mean, spoiler alert, someone dies.
Yeah. Yeah, you're only 35 years too late,
It's
mate.
not the Sixth Sense, and they're not dead the whole time, but
Yeah, that's good. Ghost, of course. But yeah, we're. This is the day that we pack it all in, mate? And you can tell that this is the show that we've done after all those other ones. Can you tell that or not? Can you tell?
What are you trying to say?
No, I'm just saying we've sort of.
I'm in the zone.
We've not. I won't say shot our bolt early. We're still hanging in there. You know.
I got plenty
we're
of
still
bolts.
hanging in there. Yeah, I heard that about you, mate.
I did do one of
You got
those
a lot of
earlier,
bolts.
though.
Yeah, the bow and arrow. You were going to tell what that's the private feed. That's the private.
On the
feed.
private feed, we'll discuss our predictions for State of Origin, even though I have no idea who's playing.
We can't do that because by the time they hear it,
No, but
the
that's
game's
the point.
done, mate.
Well, that's the thing. We put it in the
Game's
can.
done. Okay.
So that you go, how badly
How
did you
right
miss
was
out?
Steve? Yeah.
How
How
right
right
was
was
Steve?
Steve? Yeah, he did it properly.
I'll try and remember, just remind me, if you are right,
Yeah.
to change the title of the podcast tomorrow to How Right Was Steve,
Okay.
of the private.
Okay. Because that comes out on Friday, which is 2 days after the game.
Except for the people that get it on Thursday.
Of course, listening, it's under here. There it is. Here.
In the links, yeah.
Look, why not? It's right there in front of you.
It's just right there.
Yeah. How our YouTubers, if you're watching on YouTube, it's building. We're getting a few people commenting.
It's the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Great classic loyalty. That's what we get from the two blokes.
Yeah.
Great
Steady.
classic loyalty.
Pick and stick.
Exactly. People,
Yeah.
similar people comment, similar people watch. I like it that way.
It's great
I
that we've got
prefer to
listeners.
have a strong community
Yeah.
rather than just a flagrant participant.
Flagrant. You've got a big wide vocabulary. Look at the
Flagrant.
vocabulary on Trev. Flagrant.
Wow. Is that
But it's we see we've got a very loyal community.
Yeah.
A lot of great listeners who are there every week.
we appreciate it.
They're the big game players. You know, they're there every week. Every week,
Big game.
week after week.
Big game is what they do.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, speaking of being there week after week, let's do this.
Welcome to Two Blokes Talking Tech
Not a bad price.
with Trevor Long from EFTM.com
Really handy device.
and Stephen Fennick from TechGuide.com.au.
I've really got to write my next list of feedback for the people at Rode. I feel like I need keyboard controls because I can control the Rodecaster video from here, but I just want to be able to push a button now to go into auto mode rather than having to click my mouse in a certain spot.
Yeah.
Also, switching cameras should be a 1, 2, 3. I should be able to switch cameras with the...
Because you remember,
you
was it
can't.
last week? Remember, I was telling you that this two-shot.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's on me now. Here we go. Hey.
I fixed it, all right.
Good.
Fixed it.
Well, was that something that that was
I
like a
changed
setting
the setting,
adjustment?
yeah.
Okay.
I changed the setting.
You had it more on yourself, didn't
No, I had it less. Unfortunately, I balls it up and you're getting less of the two-shot.
you? Yeah.
Oh, I think you'll now be getting more of the two-shot
the
than in
two-shot's
previous
what
weeks.
you need, mate. It's two blokes, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
That's how it works.
Less of Stephen. Anyway,
Except when I talk.
No, okay. Episode 685 of Two Blokes
685.
Talking Tech. Thanks to the great people at Netgear and Arlo, and we appreciate their support, and we hope you support them as well. Stephen. Look, it's a slow news week.
It is.
That's
It is. Yeah, I said we're in a lull. Yeah, there's
We're
not
in a
much.
lull.
There's not much happening. Yeah, there's a few things like on.
I
What did you talk
suggested-
about on EFTM this week? What did you? What was
Took
your?
calls from people.
Okay, I spoke about iPhone potentially going to cost more because of the tariffs. So there's that.
Rubbish.
I reviewed also the S25 Edge, which is I'm still using it now, the really skinny phone. You're going to have
Yep.
that on EFTM shortly as well. So that's sort of done. But I think we're in this period, sort of, it's the calm before the storm. There's a lot of stuff happening later.
I suggested we talk about cool stuff that we love to use.
Our go-to tech, is that what you're saying?
And then Stephen goes, well, we should talk about like how hard it is to buy like TVs and stuff now. And I go, why? Because they're new. And then he laughed because he realised it didn't quite work.
No, this is what I meant. Because if you buy a TV, right?
Yeah.
You've likely had your TV for a number of years. So
possibly
fair to
5
say?
to 7, yeah.
Maybe 8, maybe longer. And so after 8 years...
What's the oldest TV at your house?
Oldest TV... my mother-in-law's got my old Pioneer Plasma. Mate, that'd be 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
The TV in our bedroom, which is a Panasonic, was at our old house.
Yeah.
We moved in 2013.
Wow.
So it's
Still
at
going?
least 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Still going fine because it's got a Chromecast in it and it still watches live TV fine.
Yeah. But what I was
you were thinking of the person who does have a 5-10-year-old TV and they walk into Harvey Norman and they go,
what is this? What's mini LED mean? What's HDR? What's all this stuff? And there's a lot to get your head around. And that's why they read our reviews and come to us to talk and hear about it. Phones, not so much. Phones are a bit more... People update a bit more often than a TV.
But it is getting longer. The duration of ownership is probably now averaging closer to being over 2 years than being under.
Yeah. I remember
I think a lot of people are in the
2 years.
3 years now.
Yeah, 3 to 4 years, I reckon now.
Yeah. And I think the phone companies acknowledge that. I think they know that.
Yeah, I think too, that's why. Do you remember every year when someone puts out a phone, they go, oh, it's like last year's phone, but that's not meant for the last year's customer. It's meant for the 5 years ago customer.
I think that's your actual point because when you look at a TV, so an LG OLED or a Samsung Neo QLED or a Hisense ULED, last year versus this year, very similar TVs.
Yeah.
But it's not aimed at someone who bought one last year. It's aimed at someone who has a TV of any brand from 5 or 10 years ago.
Exactly.
And here's my problem. My biggest problem with the TV market right now is I don't believe backlighting technology is correctly marketed by the retailers. I accept that LG, Hisense and Samsung have decided to take their own path with nomenclature.
Yeah.
The names.
Look at the big vocabulary on Trev.
Is that a word?
I don't know.
The names for which they give things. So the way they name something.
The naming conventions.
Neo QLED is a mini LED TV nowadays for Samsung. It's not as easy with LG because they do have some QNEDs that are
and
not.
OLED. Yeah.
But they have some QNEDs at the low end that aren't mini LED. They're full array.
Yes.
And Hisense now, I think all their
mini
new LEDs are mini LED.
All across board,
But there's a couple of variants of it. Yep. My point is you go into a retail store and it's not always obvious what's apples and apples and what's oranges and oranges.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard. It is actually weirdly, every time I have a call about this, either on the radio or the podcast, and you bring up the JB website or whatever and you go, okay, well, they want a 65 and they want this price range.
Yep.
It is pretty consistent now, unless they're sale prices that if something's $14.99, something else is $15.99 and something else is, $14.59, they're probably the same technology.
Yeah. If it's $1,000 more or a couple of thousand more,
then it's likely to have
moved up size as well.
A big jump in some form of the technology. But the mini LED thing I don't think it's gone the way I expected it to. When it first launched, we expected it to push and rival OLED. And it does at its most premium level, but there's also mini LED TVs, which are just, the mini LED, what I love about it is the actual mini LED could be this big. Yeah. You can't even see it.
Tiny, yeah.
And that would rival OLED if that mini LED was individually lit.
Yeah.
But they're lit in groups. Yeah. And so the group might be as big as a bottle cap.
Yeah.
So it might be 100 mini LEDs in that bottle cap, but that's what's lit up. So the pixel that's blue, that's white in the middle around the black will still bloom white. Whereas on a more expensive, cheaper one, the range of them could be
could be larger.
Big.
Yeah, I understand.
So it's hard to really say that mini LED is at its.
But also, you know what? Picture quality.
A great technology.
Picture quality is obviously very subjective, and it's widely subjective because there are some people who their what they consider to be a good picture is different to yours and mine. And some people who just don't care, they think it's 4K, great, looks good. They rely on the content to look great, and on a good TV, obviously it's going to look good. But like I've often sat with my wife and said, "Oh, this is 4K." She went, "Okay." She wouldn't know the difference between HD and 4K.
I think I downgraded our Stan account to HD.
Did you really?
To see if the family would notice.
And they didn't?
No.
On what?
Noticed.
On Netflix or something?
No, hey, Stan.
Oh, there you go. And no one noticed, even on the 100-inch TV?
No,
on the 100-inch?
I don't know that we watch it enough. I probably need to do it to Netflix for people to notice. But
yeah. You'd notice on Netflix, and that you'd notice on our TV. Joe watches Netflix on our 85-inch in the lounge room. She'd notice it. In fact, I think there was Netflix sometimes dumbs down the signal if there's something wrong. The internet's
adaptive streaming. Yeah,
the streaming speed isn't right. And then she said, "Oh, is something wrong with this?" I went, "No, it must be the network. It must be." Anyway, we did this, did that, and it was back to. She's, "Oh, that's better," and it was pin sharp. She noticed that slight downgrade there, but yeah, I think
the thing about and again, I say to people, listen. Take anyone's opinion you want, but the thing you want to do is go into the store and ask them. I always say ask them to use the remote because I want to see how the menus look and how snappy they are, because a menu loading is a sign of the processor speed as well. Like a slow response to a remote is a bad look for a TV.
Yeah. Although you got to think the latest TVs, from a couple of years ago, is still pretty. The processor is still pretty good.
Yeah, but the thing is, the TV brands and the retailers, they want to show the retailers want a single picture on every TV, running out of one box, so it all looks cool and stuff in the store. But if you're going to spend thousands, like if you're buying a TV for $800, don't be making demands of the retail store. But if you're spending $2.5 plus, I'd be saying no, I want to see what Channel 9 looks like on it.
Yeah.
I want to see.
They don't often have free-to-air and stuff, do they? Yeah.
So if they're not
they
willing,
would have the catch-up apps and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but no. I want to know what it looks like.
Something that you're going to be looking at every day.
You tell me this upscales. I want to see how well it upscales.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair.
But I don't think the retailers are equipped for that in most cases.
You're right. Yeah, they don't have free-to-air connections. It's just streaming
it's just
or the loop. There's like a player behind the USB or something loaded up with something.
And those loops
mode
are designed to highlight the brilliance of colour and blacks.
It will,
But they're also not at all like anything you'll ever watch on the TV.
Yeah, of course. People think, why doesn't my TV look like this at home?
Yeah.
Because the content has been sort of enriched and made to showcase the technology.
That also goes to our conversation when we did the Samsung OLED review, and it's the same with the Neo QLED. Yeah. They've got the AI mode that allows you to go, what I think is a good picture.
That's a really good idea.
It's very different to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate.
Your idea of brightness is, I like that one better than that one, and we get a choice. Yeah,
okay,
I agree.
So leaving
every TV should have that.
Leaving OLED aside.
Yep.
Leaving OLED aside. And price. Of the three big brands, LG, Samsung and Hisense, who wins this year? Oh, because I've said it, I already know who it is, in my mind.
Yeah. I've only just got the Hisense TV to review, so if I was to pick someone now, I'd say Samsung.
I think it's Samsung for this reason. Yep. Two reasons. One, AI mode, that ability to
that's
choose.
Really good. Yeah.
That ability to say, I like the grass to look less bright when I'm watching sports, so I get to choose that. I want this, I want that.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. It's very, very good. And then the glare-free technology on the premium models is unprecedentedly
remarkable.
Good.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I was thinking about it from someone comes in, one of our listeners comes in, they're going to go and buy a TV, but they haven't narrowed it down. So the store staff member is helping them narrow it down. I'm saying to them, look, these are both great TVs, but just for reference, the glare free on this, look at it, and we'll shine a light on it and stuff if you've got windows and stuff. And then also, have you ever thought about, customizing the picture? They're demonstrable features that you can actually
and often,
quantify.
Don't the companies often have their own people on the floor in those stores? Like sometimes
they often have
Samsung
trainers that have trained the staff.
Yeah, because I know, you and I, we review stuff. We're not trying to sell it to you. We're just giving you our opinion of it.
It's actually the biggest thing, and this is quite honestly, I hate when someone says to me, "What are you selling today?" I get it a little bit at Channel 9. I'll walk the corridor and someone unrelated to me or the show will go, "What are you selling today?" And I'm like,
"What?
That's not what I do. I'm actually."
What are you talking about today?
Yeah.
Why don't you say that, mate? I'd say, why don't you say that?
Yeah, but that's what
you don't want to pick a fight in the 9 office, do you? Okay.
I'm not a fan of that, no.
Okay, fair enough.
We're not there to sell stuff. We're just there to give you the lay of the land.
Like independent, our opinion is our currency, right? And like I've been asked for paid reviews and said, look, I don't accept money for reviews. If I'm reviewing your product, I've got to review it because it's my opinion. You can't buy my opinion. So so what I'm getting at here is that we've got our opinions, and when you read our reviews, we're not selling you that product. We're just telling you what we think of it. Yeah. So imagine then on the shop floor, right, where I reckon there'd be customers wary about store staff. Perhaps there's a better deal, there's a bonus if they sell more Samsung TVs or LG TVs. You know what I mean?
There is. I mean, those things do exist.
That's a reality, isn't it?
But you should be able to ask. You should actually be able to say to a store staff, "Do you get any kickback from me buying this TV versus that one?"
Would they answer that though? Are they obliged to answer that?
I think they're obliged to, aren't they?
Well,
they used to be called SPIVs. They were kind of. The big companies would, you
sell 10, you get a holiday to Hawaii or something.
Yeah, like there'd be these little incentives. So I think customers should be made aware of those things if they're happening.
I think if that's the case, it makes our reviews even more valuable.
Spot on.
I like to think that a customer will walk into a store having read some of the reviews online, whether they're ours or someone else's, and have an idea, an inkling of what they want. And that, I think, is a great way to start, because you go in blind and you're going to just buy what they want you to buy.
Yeah.
And if it's in there, if they think, well, it's in my best interest, I'm up to 9. If I sell one more TV from this brand, I'm going to get a holiday to Hawaii, then of course they're going to push you to that brand. So, good luck to them. That's the way. That's not illegal. That's how it works, right? So, wherever you buy your TV, I'm sure that system that works. There's different margins and different bonuses for selling, and the companies are all aware of it too, I guess, and each other's. So, something to keep in mind if. It's you going to be looking at that TV every day for the next 10 years, so you want to make sure you choose the right one.
But the one thing I continue to say, and I've said for a decade or more, is when you get home, there's only one TV. It's just that one TV up on your wall.
There's nothing next to it to compare.
It's not like when you're at Harvey's and JB's and there's 6 TVs. And you know what? Even if your mate next door has, the $10,000 TV and the same size one you bought for $2,000, trust me, by the time he's walked to your joint, he's not comparing them together in his mind. He just knows that he's got the better TV. It's very hard. Honestly, I think the summary here is there's not a bad TV on the market.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And
it's more about the content you put into it.
Yeah, but it's also too that the features that were flagship a few years ago are now in every TV.
Yeah,
it's like phones. Like you buy a mid-tier phone now, that's a flagship phone 5 years ago. So all those features are there, which is good for the customer. Things are getting better across the board. But no, you're right. It's very hard to.
I think it makes it harder for a Samsung and an LG because, so for example, let's say you use a Chromecast or you use a Fetch or you have an input device like a Foxtel box.
Yep.
So you're not actually. Very rarely are you using the TV's operating system or anything, right? You've got an input that you pretty much use 90% of the time.
Yep.
Let's say you've also got attached to your TV a great soundbar, right? So you know that you've got sound covered. In that scenario, a lot of the time, I'm saying buy a Kogan or buy a TCL, buy a Hisense. It's very hard to justify the higher end TV because the content coming in is likely 4K and therefore you're not relying on processor power for upscaling and stuff like that. You've already got great sound. You can get, honestly, affordable TVs are very good when you're watching great content.
I agree with you that you get quality and value with those cheaper TVs, but there's still... It's still a better experience if you spend a bit more. That's my opinion. You're going to see, I can tell the better picture quality and the features, how it works is, you're right, those entry-level models are great, but there is a reason why those TVs are more expensive because there's a lot more processing going on, different backlight, different technology there designed to improve the contrast and do that, the black levels. So there is work there. It's not like they put the same panel in every TV, but it's like everything else, mate. You want a better experience on the road, you might want to buy a luxury car. If you just want something to get you from A to B, then you buy a more affordable car.
Yeah.
They basically do the same thing. One just does it a slightly nicer experience than the other.
So what's the one thing you wouldn't leave the house without?
One thing I wouldn't leave the house.
If you're flying to Melbourne tonight, and other than your mobile phone, if you're flying to Melbourne tonight, it's the one thing
I'd
you
have to
take
have
with
my
you.
laptop, to have my
That's
MacBook,
boring. That's obvious as well.
Yeah.
Next.
Oh, you mean like doesn't have to be
Something
tech
other
or,
than a phone and laptop. Tech.
earphones, headphones.
Okay.
Yeah. At the moment, I've got I'm tossing up the JBL. The new JBLs are
Two
fantastic,
Pro 3s, yeah.
and the new Sony XM6s are pretty good too, and a few earphones. But why? What about you?
I'm going to say it's probably my Ray-Bans.
Yeah, the Metas. Yeah, the glasses. Yeah,
I really don't leave anywhere without them.
Yeah.
And they're rarely on. Most of the time they're switched off.
How are you charging them, by the way? You got your case for them yet, or are they just lasting?
I've got a case. Yeah.
You got another case?
Oh, I bought another pair.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Look at
Because
Trevor.
I found a
Very
charger online. I don't have it here.
Yeah.
Really cool 3D printed thing, so you can have it on your desktop.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yep.
And they wouldn't charge. So I'm trying. It's complicated. I'm trying to get them the
So
original
you've
ones
got two
replaced.
pairs of glasses.
Yeah, but one of them is just a pair of sunnies that don't work because they don't charge.
But can't you put that in the new case
They
you just
don't
bought?
charge.
The new
They
case.
do not charge.
Oh, the glasses themselves.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I'd take them back.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't have the receipt.
Because you bought them as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a screenshot of my bank from the OPSM that I bought them at.
Yep.
I just know they're going to go, that's not a receipt. I'm like, it's a receipt. Trust me.
Proof of purchase,
Yeah,
mate.
trust me.
Yeah, right.
Look at your records. So
You
I didn't
talk to our
register them under my
friends
name.
Talk to our friends at Meta.
No,
as
they're
well?
not friends.
Ah.
Have we discussed that here?
Yes, we have. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I remember the conversation.
No, we're not. I'm not ringing
So
them.
the people at Meta.
Well, they didn't provide me with the glasses, so they're of no
Same,
obligated
mate.
to.
Same deal.
They're not obligated
And
to help me fix them.
I don't know whether I've just said this to you privately or on the show, but they did pitch me an idea about how great these new features are for the Meta glasses, and said, "Well, you didn't give them to me. I had to buy my own pair I asked for a pair so I could experience it, but you didn't give me one or lend me one. I didn't expect, if they want it back, that's great, but they didn't even go to the trouble of doing that for the latest pair.
Strange people.
Well, you know what? I like. Do you get this too? Do you get a lot of companies emailing you about some, some new what's the Kickstarter sort of product? And I go, mate, when it's finished,
When
send
it's
it
an
to me.
actual product,
when it's actually real, I'll send it to me and I'll write about it.
I'm not here to start your company.
What do you mean? I'm not here to make you rich.
Yeah.
You want me to just help your bottom line and you get your investors going.
Yeah.
I'll write about something I can hold and use.
And tell people whether or not it works or
So
not.
that's not just me. You just say that as well.
No.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm a hard no on those things. But speaking of Meta, that's a perfect segue into scams.
Is it?
That's what I think of when I think of Meta. I think
Really?
of scams.
Okay, all the scams
Well,
going
it's
on.
the most prolific platform for scams.
Is it?
But that's not the platform we want to talk about. The platform we want to talk about is actually the Apple App Store.
Yeah. This is their annual report on their App Store and all the fraud they've prevented.
Yeah, and I think the numbers are staggering, right? The headline number I went with was not a dollar value thing. Fraudulent accounts right now. Apple described these as a way of initiating spam. So because you create an Apple ID, you get an email address. So obviously it could be used for nefarious purposes, as well as manipulating the ratings and reviews on the App Store. So fake accounts mean someone can give you 25 five-star reviews because you've created 25 fake accounts. Turns out Apple keeps a very close eye on things. They rejected 711 million customer account creations last year.
Just in 1 year.
In 1 year.
Mate, how many is that a day?
Well,
that's like
a
5
great
million
question.
a day.
And they deactivated 129,000
million
because they considered them to be fraudulent. So that's like nearly a billion accounts, right? And what I said in my review, plenty of businesses would love to say they've added 1 billion customers.
Yeah, they'd say, bring it on. Yeah,
and they'd just be great for their metrics.
Yeah.
Apple, no. We're not letting
that's
711 million accounts get created.
Well, that strict policy is that helps make their platform even safer, doesn't it? And that's what this is all about, isn't it? The headline says that in 5 years, they've stopped more than $9 billion US in fraudulent transactions, and just in the last year, $2 billion in the last year.
Yeah,
it's a lot of.
It's a massive numbers game. So a lot of people don't know, but we've talked about it before. But when you create an app, you have to submit the app, and someone has to look at it, and a computer can assess it, and then it gets approved or rejected. Get this. In 2024, Apple had 7.7 million App Store submissions. They rejected 1.9 million of them.
Wow.
Now,
that's 20%.
I've made the point that I don't know whether that's 7.7 million unique apps or just submissions, because the EFTM app,
you can submit it
we
5
submitted
times.
4 times until it got accepted. So I got submitted 5 times, rejected 4, for example. Just for little things like you've got to add this disclaimer or this button or whatever. That's how
they're very, very
meticulous the process is.
They're pretty strict about that, and that, you know what, that's a good thing for customers, because they know that anything from the App Store is, you can assume it's safe, and it's not going to try to rip you off
without looking at the release.
Yeah.
How many ratings and reviews do you think were left on the App Store last year?
Left on there?
Yeah. How many ratings and reviews do people go 5 stars or type of review?
150 million.
Higher.
350 million.
Higher.
1 billion.
Higher.
3 billion.
Lower. 1.2 billion ratings and reviews.
Wow.
And Apple removed 143 million of them because they felt they were from fraudulent accounts.
Okay. So all the ones you put on the EFTM one, is that right, mate?
Unbelievable.
EFTM, best app ever created.
Yeah,
and
just unbelievable.
From T long. That's a bit sus. What's going on there?
Like, I find that pretty impressive.
Unbelievable, eh?
It's pretty impressive.
Now, you know what? I'm going to bring our friends, I called them friends earlier. I'm going to bring Meta in on this.
Okay, go.
Right. You know how the App Store has I don't know how they do it, whether it's people at a computer, computers, AI, they've got the ability to say, nah, all those accounts out. Why doesn't Meta do this with their platform? Why don't Meta have this level of...
Are you trying to roll me up right now?
Well, I'm just saying, like, we talk about, like, Meta's as probably, like, what is it, 2 billion people that are on Facebook, for example, right? And stuff that remember, they close accounts down just randomly because they think they're making wild statements and it's all these mistakes they make.
For people that aren't following, we had a conversation about a month ago where I made a decision, and Stephen backed me, that I said to Meta directly, I said to senior staff at Meta Australia, I said, listen, I'm not going to attend any more of your briefings about cool new features on Instagram or whatever. I said, don't stop sending me releases. I will still cover your products when I feel they're appropriate announcements, but I'm not going to come to your fluff and bluster briefings and write about them because it's just giving you publicity, because they chose to never help our audience.
Yeah.
If you, a member of our audience, come to us and we spend the time vetting that you legitimately have been hardly done by having your Facebook or Instagram account deleted, they won't even let us come to them and say, can you help this person out, which they used to do, and it was a very nice thing for them to do. So they will no longer do that. And I just think, unless they're going to offer customer service to people, that's a hard no.
Well,
so
the only customer service you can
negative.
get is if you pay.
That's right.
If you pay,
which we both now are doing. I'm paying for it.
I'm doing it more for, I don't want anyone to imitate me. I want to protect my platform.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we've said
it
before,
has happened in the past, and they did nothing about it.
We've said before, that's what we encourage people. Yeah. If you're making money on these platforms or have an identity or business that you do not want in any way imitated, you have to pay the money. You have to pay the ransom, okay? You have to pay what Meta wants you to pay to get verified and therefore have the protection in place. To your point, like, I don't think that Apple looked at 711 million accounts and went, no. Yeah. I think they've got some very smart computers that went, these are all being generated from the same place. These are all... Yeah. But then they've probably got a bunch of people that also looked at them and go, well, that's digging up a lot of extra accounts. Yeah. Like, put it this way, we don't have people contacting us saying, my Apple ID's been deleted.
Exactly, yeah. Or it's gone, or I've been hacked. How many people say my Apple account's been hacked? Never. How many times a Facebook account hacked?
Regularly.
Accounts taken over. So it's unfortunate that there's not this level of care and security applied to Meta. I don't know how Apple do it. You know, the App Store's a big store. Like you said, 700. What was it? 700 million different
711 million accounts that were rejected from being created.
That's nearly 1 billion in 1 year.
I mean, how many are there? I wonder if they've ever released that publicly.
That means that divide that by 360 to 5, right? So that'd be what, like 2.5 million a day. That must be.
Well, hang on. So calculator.
Yeah. 711 divided by 365.
1.9.
So let's call it 2 million accounts a day.
Yeah.
You don't reckon that there'd be that many on, like, what would Facebook have? 2 billion accounts on there? Mate, this is in the same ballpark sort of thing, isn't it? They'd be able to.
Apple doesn't report on how many Apple accounts there are, but there's 2.2 billion active devices, Apple devices worldwide.
There you have it.
Broadly.
There you have it.
So you'd have to assume there are
sort of size of audience in it.
That plus a bit in terms of Apple IDs.
Yeah. I know. Look, Apple have proven that they can do it. They can keep people safe on the platform. They can weed out these potential fraudulent users, developers. It's a shame that Meta doesn't have that same sort of level of security and safety. Because imagine all the fraud. Like, how many times have you heard of people getting defrauded on Facebook? They click on looks like an ad, and it turns out to be a scam.
Yeah.
Like, how? Imagine if that happened with Apple. Imagine if someone downloaded an app and was scammed with an app on an iPhone.
Mate, the world would be up in arms.
That'd make the evening news because it's Apple.
It would, mate.
Because Apple's held to a higher standard like that with good reason. Look what they've done here.
Yeah.
Meta, that happens every day, hundreds of times a day, and nothing. So be careful is our point.
Yeah.
Be careful.
But let's be real. Apple releases these numbers for a specific reason. They're pumping their chest.
Of course. And with these figures, if they're to be believed, and you just assume 99% that it's real.
Oh, no. There's no reason to doubt them at all.
So they've got reason to beat their chest, mate. That's big. That gives customers peace of mind. That means customers would say, I'm going to only download from the App Store. Yeah. I'm not going to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's safe.
Well, and that's the big thing. Remember, there's probably a part of this which also they're very big on the changes that have been made regulatory-wise to in Europe.
EU, yeah.
Having third-party app stores and things like that.
Yeah.
So this is in part also them posturing to say, here's why the App Store is better than any other way of doing business. If you're doing things through a third-party App Store, you don't have the protections that we offer you through the legit App Store. And
plus, too, I think you got to remember that at the end of the line, what Apple wants you to have is a good experience on their device. You got to remember these apps only work on Apple devices, right? So it all comes down to the experience you have on their device. That's the reason why they are so stringent like this.
Look, and I think I said in my article, if there's a couple of truisms about the way Apple operate, I'm trying to see what I said, but it was basically that privacy is at their core, and then trust and security are the other things.
Yeah,
those are the kind of core tenets of how they want their devices to be seen and used by customers.
And
we see that regularly.
Look at the numbers. Yeah, their customer base is massive, and they're only growing. It's for that reason that they make great products, that they make sure you have a great experience and you're safe and secure using them. Yeah. And how do you argue with that? How do you compete against that?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. Anyway, if you've had a bad experience with Apple, I don't know that we can help you, but we can certainly help you more than we can with Meta. But yeah, some staggering numbers. You can read about those at EFTM.com and techguide.com.au.
That sounds like a wrong.
No, it's a good sting though.
Wrong show, mate.
I like it though. I didn't think, why am I bopping along to this?
We don't normally do that on this show.
No,
but
it's problematic.
You may not have heard that sting before. You may have heard that sting before if you listen to one of our other shows, Two Blokes Talking Electric.
What are you trying to suggest?
Trevor didn't change the stings on the Roadcaster.
I don't know what you're talking about, Steve.
Still got the old show on there.
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Someone's calling me.
Well, mate, turn the phone over. It's not relevant. Either that or answer it live on the air. Speakerphone. One of the two. Speakerphone.
No, mate. We're all good.
Okay, fine.
We're all good.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
What are you talking about?
See, my phone call helped
Everything's fine.
mask the whole little change there. Good on you. That sounded more familiar. Good on you, mate.
Well, I mean, again, some feedback to Road. There needs to be a button I can just push to go, this is what I'm doing now. And it just does it, you know?
Yep.
Like when I ask Alexa to change
It's called importing the show, mate.
But I just got to push a button and it just switches to that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, thanks to the great people at Netgear. Great deals always at Netgear. And if you're looking for home networking, they've got you covered, folks. The Netgear Orbi Wi-Fi 7 is the most powerful and advanced Orbi. You can find it at netgear.com.au. You shop online and save, because if you sign up to their newsletter email database, you'll save money. You'll get about, I think it's 10% discount. You can unlock with a promo code valid for one-time use. You can save up to $150 on your Netgear purchase. So whether you're looking for a Orbi series for your home or just a Nighthawk, it might even be the mobile hotspot. There's a bunch of products there for you that give you the core network to underpin everything else you do in your home, because networking, your Wi-Fi network, your network at your home, is about as important as the plumbing and the electricity, right? Because in terms of reliability and what you use, I think you probably use your Wi-Fi more than you use your plumbing. What are your thoughts, Stephen?
More than you use my Wi-Fi, more than I use my shower.
Well, that's obvious.
You use Wi-Fi for hours.
But all plumbing, like,
do you have hour-long showers?
No, 10 minutes max.
Okay.
That's what I've noticed on average. So toilet flushes, that's a one-off use. You wash the dishes, one-off use.
Yep.
Shower, one-off use. It's not constant. Your Wi-Fi it's clicking all day, folks.
Your internet's another utility, isn't it?
It should be classified that way for sure, shouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You know? Yeah. Anyway, so if you want the best utility, then netgear.com.au.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick.
Now, I was reading Scott's review at EFTM.com of the Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. I've got it over there. I've got the teal green looking one. Beautiful looking phone. A couple of things that stood out to me when I received it. It's quite a thin phone. Like it's actually, when you talk about Edge and Air and stuff, it's actually quite a thin phone. Solid camera array. Comes with a matching coloured kind of back sleeve, which gives it a little bit of protection.
They do that a lot of Moto, eh? They put the back little case on it.
It's good to have a case.
Yeah, the plate lid on the back.
Why not include that, right?
Yeah, it's smart.
And you know what? Great camera, great battery, great screen, tick all that. But what I found fascinating was Scott dug into the AI stuff. And we talked a lot about Apple Intelligence. We've heard about Galaxy AI. It's all good, right?
Yeah.
But how much of it is useful, right? So Moto AI. And I actually think, and people who have long been listening will know why this resonates with me, but a couple of features. The first one is called Catch Me Up. Now, this is essentially notification summaries.
Yeah.
So you tick a box, say these are my messaging apps like WhatsApp, SMS or email, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're away from your phone, you're at the movies. You come back to your phone, you look at it, you can just go catch me up.
Yeah.
And it'll show you summaries of what you've missed.
And what's more urgent than other stuff.
Yeah.
And,
it uses AI to go, well, here's a summary of this whole thread.
Yep.
Boom. Here's a summary of that notification generally. And it puts them in that kind of generic order.
Yep.
I think that's super powerful. I think that while Apple has had some negativity around notifications, right?
Yep.
Their Apple Intelligence, because things like if you had 5 notifications from a news organisation, it might misconstrue the actual news, right?
Oh.
That's not a good thing, but they copped a fair bit of flack in the early days of Apple Intelligence about that. They've tweaked it. I'll be honest, I don't see that as a negative, because I think that what we see there is just learning. Like, I don't expect it to understand the news items. Yeah. I'm just happy for it to try and summarize for me. And if the notification is wrong, I click on it and I go, okay, it misunderstood it, whatever. Like, I don't find that big a deal. But the fact that Motorola's been able to identify this in the same way that Apple did as a potential feature for their users, I reckon is awesome. Yeah, because I reckon notification summaries is a winner. You don't use notifications enough for it to be beneficial for you.
I haven't got enough notifications to summarise.
But a lot of people will wake up and find a bunch of emails, notification calls, whatever.
If that's your go, having all the notifications. Like I see you got notifications coming in all the time, haven't you?
Yeah.
From mainly what? Instagram?
Yeah, my main
TikTok,
ones are WhatsApp, email. Uber Eats, because we just had lunch. Life 360, who's going where in the family. Yeah. MLB app, I'll let that come through. But I'm very specific about what I want.
Yeah.
When's a game starting? Big score updates. The Kia gives me updates.
Yeah.
And I get select Instagram updates, not many.
Yeah. I get updates. On my car, I let come through and others. But Yeah.
And my Arlo cameras, of course.
Yeah, same. Yeah, me too.
So I just think it's a really great, and this is a $699 phone.
Yeah,
okay?
And
so
it's got that level of AI.
$699 phone, and we're talking about AI features that Apple only launched last December.
Well, I think that's
good.
Everyone's playing catch up with the AI, and good to see that Moto. They even call it Moto AI, which is their own little flavour.
The other one that stood out to me was pay attention. So the idea here is you tell Moto AI to pay attention. It starts recording, taking transcript. So it's speaker notes, and it recognises individual speakers.
Great.
And so you end up with a meeting summary.
And this is on a $699 phone.
This is $600. These are features that Samsung in Galaxy AI has for sure.
Yep.
These are features that they were highlighting at the launch of Galaxy AI. This is a big deal.
But on phones that cost double this, though, like on expensive phones. But again, are we seeing the trickle-down effect here? It's sort of these AI sort of become so pervasive that all these other companies they've kind of gone to school, you could say, on Galaxy AI and Apple and all these other companies and come up with their own versions. These might have been in development for quite a while, but I think AI, though, just on AI, the whole it often gets things wrong. If AI is not a search engine, AI can help you with stuff.
Did you see Jennifer Dudley Nicholson's thread the other day?
Yes, she asked all the different...
referenced that on the radio. It was something like, how many Australian Prime Ministers have there been... How many sitting Australian Prime Ministers have been between this date and this date?
Yeah, and she got 5 different answers. 5
different answers from 5 different AIs. All of them were wrong.
Yeah. So it goes to show that your info, don't rely on AI to provide 100% accurate information, because it won't. There's mistakes.
But here's what I would say about that. I would say that, but you got to learn what we mean by gets it wrong. So that question, I think the wording of it is what caused the wrong answers, not because it was bad wording, but because I can see how they misunderstood it. In the same way that people get quiz question wrongs on quiz shows, right? You don't always, twig the correct what they mean by the question. Yeah. So, for example, what I would say to someone is, it's like Wikipedia. Find the source and dig into it. So, let's say Gemini said the answer was 12 and the answer was actually 10. Well, is it possible that you should then click on the Gemini answer, find its reference, and go, so it counted the guy that was elected before the date, and it counted the one that was... Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you could probably very quickly work out
the discrepancy.
Even without knowing a discrepancy. If you only ask Gemini that question, right, and you go, it's 13, then what you should absolutely do is, rather than saying it's 13, you should go, let me click on the answer and understand how it got it right. And you should observe for yourself that actually... It's wrong because of that one and that one. I'll give the answer as 11 or 10.
Because I actually did that with the movie podcast this week.
Right.
Or next week's movie podcast. So I asked about how many times has Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro worked together. And one said 12, another one said 9. And there was a couple of things that included. I think there was like an ad that they did together. They considered that a film they worked on together.
Oh, that's true.
So it was...
But again, if you quantify it, how many theatrical release movies, although that doesn't work either because the Irish thing...
Irishman was
Netflix.
Yeah, and so was Killers of the Flower Moon as well, although that was in cinemas too. But it's just an example of... You can't 100% just to take that as gospel. You got to.
But it goes back to, you go back to the Moto AI, right? And the reason I call it out is because I think it's beneficial. I think it's useful. I think that people who bought a $700 phone
we use every day
are going to go, this is awesome. Yeah. What I don't want you to do is go, this is the absolute black and white perfect thing. No. If the notification summary was a bit off, that's fine. It still saved you having to read all the notifications, and then you dug in and you read them all and realised it cheekily got it wrong, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's still a cool feature of a $700 phone.
Absolutely, and a lot of bang for your buck by the sounds of that. Eh? Is that the teal? Is that what colour is that one?
No, his is pink, I think.
Oh, right. Yeah. So yours is teal.
I got teal, yeah.
Is yours always talking about climate change and all that? You like that? He's always saying, climate change.
It's not bad for you.
Climate change.
What about the Bradfield electorate? It's going to a recount because it ended up drawn.
What?
0 votes in it.
Wow. What do you do then? Just toss a coin?
I think they go to another recount and they find the ones that might have gone the other way. Isn't that wild?
That's crazy.
You could have 50,000 people in an electorate.
2 weeks since the election. It's still got 3 weeks.
It comes up as a draw.
Wow. That's amazing.
Don't ever think your vote doesn't count.
There's democracy.
Folks.
Democracy for you.
Don't ever think your vote doesn't count. as it can.
What's the famous saying from Winston Churchill? Someone said, democracy is the worst form of government compared to all the others, because there's no others. Democracy, you see, is...
Some of your best Winston Churchill
quoting
there, by the way.
I'm just on a West Wing binge at the moment. I'm deep into a West Wing rewatch.
President Bartlett's tirade to the young woman who is sitting down in the room, and he gives her a speech on theology. You know, the one where he's talking about, you know, the Bible, like hamming about, and then at the very end, he goes, and in this
house, when the president stands, in the room, no one sits.
No one sits.
I know the one you mean. Yeah,
such a good.
That's good.
Those monologues.
He's talking to the radio, the radio host. He goes, I like your show, you know, but I don't like the way you call homosexual, you know, an abomination. He goes, I don't do that, Mr. President. The Bible does. And then he goes into all the comparisons. He goes, someone's planted different crops next to each other. Should they be put to death here, or
is there anything better than a Jed Bartlett monologue?
Oh, mate, he's a genius, Jed Bartlett. He's great, mate.
Like,
Aaron Sorkin, what a champion.
Monologues, like the way he could just push him out. That's so
I want to shake. One day, I'm hoping I get to shake his hand and say, mate, thank you,
Aaron Sorkin,
for your talent. You're a genius. Yeah. Aaron Sorkin.
And can I get a photo, he'll say.
And of course, I'll get a photo. Can I have you on my podcast?
See, that's where I would hope that you just leave it at thank you.
I know, I would. And it'd be the same with George Lucas too. I'd love to shake his hand and say thank you for all the enjoyment and the joy you've given me.
And you know what would give me
years.
The most pleasure? If I was in the room, or you know, the other side of the room, and I just snapped a photo of it happening, so I'd have the photo of you shaking hands, and that would be it.
Yeah.
Because I reckon
I would frame that photo.
The photo of you shaking hands and having that moment is far more powerful a memento than
just an arm around him. Yeah. I would put my arm around him. Good on you, George. What a genius.
All right. Thanks for your contribution to society, Star Wars man.
Thanks, mate.
Two Blokes Talking Tech.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
Well, we're on a bit of a phone run here.
Yeah.
Phones. Let's go back, right? What flip phone was your go-to in the time? What was your go-to flip phone?
I didn't have a flip. The closest I had a flip was the 8910 that the Nokia that came out. It was like a titanium little thing.
I had that too.
And the base came out, and there was like a 7110 that had a slider over the keyboard.
Yeah, right.
And then there was the Matrix phone, the 8910, I think it was.
Another slide-out phone.
It was like a banana.
So you're more a slider than a flipper.
The first flip I had was the BlackBerry Pearl.
The Pearl was a flip, was it?
Mm.
I thought the Pearl was sort of like had the little the marble instead of the flat.
No, they all had that.
Did they? Was that a flip phone?
Yeah, I've got one downstairs. You want me to go get it?
The Pearl?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to think of the way. Yeah. I never knew they had a flip phone.
BlackBerry Pearl.
I remember having those Razor, the Motorola Razor. And I think Samsung had a really cool phone. I think even I had one. What was the company? Geez, it was might have been, I can't even remember the name of it, but oh wow,
BlackBerry Pearl.
Mate, that'd be worth a bomb if you still got that downstairs.
I do have it downstairs. It's not worth anything. It's worth $70.
All right, okay. But lately, the flip phone has had a bit of a revival thanks to HMD, which is the new parent company of Nokia. Because
no. It's the same company that was always making the Nokia phones.
Correct.
They've just decided, frankly, not to license the
Nokia
Nokia brand anymore.
They're going to call it HMD, yeah. Because this is basically the Nokia 2660
Let's be real. HMD went, we're making great phones. We're selling heaps. But, geez, we're paying Nokia a lot of money for their license. And they went, you know what? Yeah. Let's just see. Let's just see if we can make the same or close to the same amount just by making phones and call them HMD. And I think they are.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed them. And frankly, they're cunningly using like numbers like 2660 or whatever.
2660 flip, yeah. There was a Nokia 2660 flip, but they've now revived that and given it a bit of a modern take. Yeah. It's still and aimed at older people.
Yep.
So it's got an emergency button too. Aimed at really young people too. I reckon this would be good to give to a child. So you don't want to complicate it with smartphones, apps and social media.
Yes.
But here's a phone you can ring mum and dad or whatever.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know whether it'll be on the podcast just gone or it might be on next week's EFTM podcast, but there is a plan from Amasim.
Yeah.
Which you cannot find on their website. You have to be with Amasim and then switch to this plan. That is $60 a year, calls and texts unlimited.
Really?
No data.
Mate.
$60. That's $5 a month. So put that plan into this phone, and you've got your kid's first phone for a year. $60 plus. What's the price of the HMD?
$129. Yeah.
You've paid $200.
That's amazing.
And you've got a phone and a plan.
Because you know what, a lot of people don't want. Like, how many times have you been asked? I just want a simple phone. I don't want a smartphone.
Yeah.
This can do that. The other thing too, and the trend we're seeing is that a lot of like the Gen Zers and millennials are thinking,
detox.
Remember, I don't want to have my phone. I don't want to be looking at stuff. Like they might not have the discipline to say no, I can't look at it. Then rather than doing that, they take this out instead of their other smartphone, and this is just their talk and text, and they can call a cab or be in contact with their friends. It's
your weekend phone.
Yeah.
Like if you've got the nous to take your SIM card out and whack it into this every Friday afternoon on the train on the way home, you've got yourself a relaxing
If you want
weekend.
to step back, and I know a lot of people get hounded, the emails and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff to look at on your phone. It's really...
One of the pieces of advice I have about doing the digital detox is it doesn't mean you can't look at your smartphone all weekend.
Yeah.
So what you do is you take your SIM card out and you put it in the HMD flip phone. You've got a flip phone you carry with you everywhere. And that's how you get calls and texts. And you know what? You don't reply to many texts because it's harder to reply, right? Yep. But some of them you can easily go yes, no, maybe, whatever. But then when you're at home and your phone might be sitting over there, your smartphone, you can look at it and see
it's on Wi-Fi.
All the notifications on Wi-Fi, like your notifications for your security cameras, your notifications for whatever else, will all come through still.
Yeah.
Just not out and about when you're walking the streets.
How strong is, and I know you, like we said earlier, you have a lot more notifications than I do, and other people may have even more than you have.
I think they do.
How strong is FOMO? Is that the FOMO, fear of missing out? What am I not seeing here? That's notifications, isn't it? That's why I have notifications. I want to know, hang on. Yeah. Someone's talking about me. Someone's liked me.
Oh, mate, if I didn't have the Channel 9 breaking news notifications, I'd be like, what's happening in the world? Right. Because as we've discussed, though, I've switched, being on Twitter all the time and understanding what's happening in the world, and I don't read news sites. Yeah. I wait for a notification to come to me and go, here's the news. Yeah. And then I watch 6 o'clock news at night.
That's how news works now.
So I think that's a really great happy medium between being too engrossed in news during the day but still knowing what's going on in the world.
Apart from people coming to Tech Guide and EFTM every day to see what we're doing.
Yeah, but I see that as like a choice about, trying to stay updated with things.
What's happening here, yeah.
I'm talking about, like, I've just gone off. I don't go to news.com.au anymore. It's just a waste of time. It's full of rubbish. So much stuff there.
A lot of clickbaity stuff.
A lot of clickbaity stuff. Yeah. So, like... People come to Tech on EFTM because they're looking for an update on this. What have we covered this week? Yeah, I don't expect people to come every day. I expect them to come every week or so.
Well, I expect to twice a day.
A lot of people letting you down.
Twice a day, thanks.
But yeah, I think that's why notifications to me are powerful because they're very personal.
Yeah, I understand. And I've got to say, I don't have any news site stuff. I look enough at other things to. Yeah, I'm on the internet enough to know what's going down.
But for $129, you're basically getting classic flip phone. There are some apps and things on it that you can enable and use. Yep. But, for that digital detox, for that first phone for responsibility. So you get a cheap SIM card, whether it's an Ali Mobile or that AmazSIM thing I talked about or whatever it is. You give it to your kids and the phone just stays in their backpack. But when they get to the park, you say, when you get to the park, if you want to go to the park after school, call me and tell me you're there. Yeah, yeah. Or send me a text saying I'm here.
There are some kids, that they go home, they catch public transport, they're home maybe by themselves. Like, okay, I'm home.
Yeah, because you don't have a home phone anymore.
Yeah.
Just
I do.
Touch base, mate. You're an old man.
It's a VoIP line, so it's
one
of
very few people that have that, mate.
It's a VoIP phone number.
You and three other people.
Mate, I find it. I use it every day. My phone home for radio. People ring me. The radio rings me on the landlines.
Yeah, they can just ring on a mobile, mate.
Well, the reception can let them down sometimes.
Well, that's your problem.
Yeah. Well, it's not my problem because I've got a landline, so it's not a problem. Yeah. See what I did there? There you have it. It's your problem, mate. You don't have one.
No, don't miss it one iota.
No, good on you. And you know what? There'll be a time where I won't need it either. But for the moment, it still works for me.
When he retires from radio.
Who knows when that'll be?
We make that announcement yet? No?
No, I'm still going, mate.
Okay, right.
I'm just refurbishing my office, actually, which is more a private feed chat for that one.
Very good.
So, the Tech Guide office is going to get
you
totally
can read about the HMD flip phones coming to a retailer near you on EFTM.com and techguide.com.au.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
Two Blokes Talking Tech. Proudly supported by Arlo, and you know what? Getting quick. Arlo has just launched a flash sale. So if you're listening to this on when does this come out? The 29th of May.
Yes.
You've got today and tomorrow, the 30th, to jump on board and enjoy 25%, up to 25% off for the next 3 days. It's their flash sale. So if you're in the market for a camera, whether it's an Essential or the Pro or the Ultra 2, all there up to 25% off. Or you might want an Arlo doorbell, which I use every day. It's one of our many cameras that I get notifications on as well. So if someone moves in front of the camera, I see it. Or you might want to get the wired, powered floodlight. That is one of my favourite cameras, I've got to say, in my Arlo cameras.
It's become my go-to, yeah.
It's very popular, that camera. And I love looking at the images coming through, the video that comes through there. Very well lit. I can shoot movies off that thing. It's awesome. So, look, 25% off sale only lasts till May 30. So get your skates on. But you know what? Even if you do miss the sale, there is also a section on the Arlo website called Bundle and Save. So if you spend over a certain amount of money, you save up to 50%, 20%. So if you spend 500 plus, 10% off, 1,000 plus, 15% off, 1,500 plus, 20% off, which is almost as good as that sale. So get on board. You can check it all out at arlo.com.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech.
I was too busy trying to press the auto button and then I had to press the sting. There's just so much going on.
It's like flying a plane, isn't it? Is that right?
This is cockpit stuff over here, folks.
Cockpit stuff. How's your neck, mate? You ever get a sore neck?
No, I'm good.
I do a lot. I get
back. Yes.
Combination of my footy days and my hunchback stance when I'm looking at my laptop.
Yep. Well, that's ergonomics, mate. It should be up here.
Yeah, I know.
We're doing this for you, the viewer.
I know.
It should be here technically.
That's right.
So this wouldn't make for great content.
So like this, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Like this.
For ergonomics, this is how we should be operating.
That's good. You can't even see us. That's great.
Or do you want me now to? You know what we could do? We could set up another monitor near the camera that has our laptop screens on it.
I wouldn't want you to see what I look at.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's an excellent.
And I wouldn't look at what you're looking at either, by the way.
Man, I'm looking at you ugly mug.
Oh, there you go. Oh, who's that? Oh, that's me. Who's that handsome?
That's what I'm looking at during the show, folks.
Oh, okay. Right. I got it. I haven't got any chicken and corn up at the moment.
Except for when Stephen's boring me, I might bring up a website and do some googling.
Yeah.
Everybody's googling.
But
anyway, why do you ask,
Stephen? The point of this is that it's Spinal Awareness Week this week.
What is this, a health podcast?
We look.
Wow. Can we list ourselves in the health category? This has got a rate in the health category.
The way we use our devices, especially kids. Now, you listen because you got younger kids, right? And if they're forming habits, hunching
I'm going to get up for a second. You stay with it. I've got it.
Looking at their phones and devices. If they're hunched forward, they're going to develop neck and back pain, which not only is going to be a problem now, but could develop into worse problems as they grow up. So the ACA, the Australian Chiropractors Association, have launched the Spinal Awareness Week, and I spoke to my great mate Terry Coolitz, who's a great chiropractor out at Maroubra, Sydney Spinal Care. I'm thinking it's all about chiropractic and health. I've got to ring my mate and get a quote. So I got him on the line, and he said that it was what he sees is a lot of young people getting into bad habits. You've got to be able to, if you're a parent, tell your child, you know how they get comfortable looking at their phone, maybe laying down or hunching their neck forward, that to take a break every so often, maybe have you Trevor setting up his espresso display. Wait. Come on, mate.
I'm trying to prove to people.
Yes, that there is a way to do it.
Ergonomics. No, I think this is relevant. I think this is very relevant.
That's a very good example of, like, I reckon this is two reasons why this is excellent. Is that A, you're getting more screen real estate, but B, it's more ergonomic. So what I'm working on, and I have this set up at home. I do this at home myself. So when the document I'm working on is on this screen up here, and whatever else is at the bottom might be something I look at less often. Okay, so
there's the holes.
In getting back to the story, there is a lot of people who, according to the ACA survey, Australian Chiropractors Association, we're talking like 68% of people who have neck pain from their devices are needing to take medication, pain relieving medication. So some even need prescription medication. And you go to me. So it is something that we need to look at, especially if you've got kids. Not only set a good example, but also the what's the saying? Yeah, so bend the you bend the tree, so grows bend the twig, so grows the tree. So if you have these bad habits, they could, as your child's growing up, could develop into something worse later on.
I saw a great example of that on the Instagram, and I'm going to show it to you, and you'll remember seeing it.
So while you're doing that,
but no, just stick with me. Oh, no, it must have been in bloody stories and not in thing. But I saw a photo from someone, they were hiking, and there's a huge rock, and the tree had grown and then gone around it and then up, and it's like that's that whole thing, right?
Go, mate.
But my point, the reason I got the espresso out is because I think everyone has to take seriously their responsibility around ergonomics. We sit here in this configuration a couple of hours a week. It's not the end of the world the way we're looking down. Because Stephen, when he does the movie podcast, has the iPad right up here.
I've got the iPad here.
Because we don't film it, right?
And you can't see my face.
But it is, it's very simple things like this, or simply getting a stand for your laptop that put it at the right height. If you've got a HR department that has what do they call them? Work health and safety member, they will come to your desk and go, well, this is good, this is bad, this is indifferent.
Yeah.
But the kid thing, man, that's a real issue for the future. I'm telling you.
You can't tell kids to stop using devices.
You want a career?
You can tell them to use it properly.
You want a career for the future? I often say to people, baking's a great career because it's never not going to be a good career choice, right? It's always going to be bakers. Chiropractors?
Yeah,
mate, they're going to boom in 15 years from now.
Well,
boom.
Two of my good mates are both chiropractors. So, and Terry Coolitz, who's one of my best mates, and he's a Souths trainer too. I introduced him to the head trainer at Souths when I was playing there, and he's still there helping Souths out.
Sorry, Terry. Stephen's taking responsibility for your career.
No, I'm not. He did his own work, and he's now a life member of the club. So, you're welcome.
Still feels like you're taking responsibility.
But he's a good man. And I go see him once a month to get my neck cracked and my back looked at.
I've never been to a chiropractor.
Mate, I'm there. And I know when I need to go, when I start getting the headaches. And
funnily enough, I see a lot of
they adjust the same part of my neck and spine.
I see a lot of chiropractic videos on TikTok. But what people wear to those seem interesting to me.
Yeah, right, like the little gowns and stuff.
No, I don't
have a t-shirt on.
I don't think the videos I'm seeing are legitimate chiropractics.
Right.
I think they're doing it for the clicks.
Are they?
Because women don't wear what they're wearing to the chiropractor.
Yeah, I don't know what your algorithm's doing over there.
It's doing exactly what yours is doing, bro.
Yeah, okay. Then.
Exactly what yours is doing. TikTok or Instagram, yeah.
Okay.
Mate, the TikTok and Instagram algorithms...
I think TikTok's a bit stricter when it comes to sort of adult stuff.
Yeah, but...
it's a bit stricter.
It's not adult, it's just... bikinis, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, people...
No one there, no
content... People just doing stuff for the content really bugging me, but...
Yeah, I know. If I looked like some of these other people, I'd have 5 million followers.
They're aligning right now, those algorithms.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be on Instagram and then go to TikTok and I see the same stuff.
Can't tell the difference, I know.
Except
cookies. They're cookies or something, is it, that follow you?
No, the big difference, there's still no death on TikTok.
But there's death on Instagram.
My Lord, is there death on Instagram?
Yeah, it's crazy. But do they black it out and say sensitive content?
No.
Sometimes they do.
No.
What are you watching on there,
mate? I'll show you some after this.
Yeah, wow,
it's wild.
All right. Anyway, point of this, tech neck is real. Tech can literally be a pain in the neck.
Tech neck is real.
Yeah.
Tech neck. Guide can be a pain. Oh, tech can be a pain in the neck. Sorry, I read the teleprompter wrong.
That's
Imagine
funny.
we had teleprompters.
We don't need teleprompters, mate. What was that? Hang on, go back a bit. No.
We had nothing, but we got there.
Yeah, we did it, mate. We did it.
I don't think it was... Listen,
we've got even overs.
Can you not leave a rating or review this week?
Why?
All right.
Why?
I don't feel it deserves it.
That wasn't our best, do you reckon?
No, it was not our best.
Mate, I think we showed our true selves, though. Which
I think is boring.
Our true selves. So, speak for yourself, mate.
I apologise. I apologise for our performance.
What are you doing?
I think it's...
Oh, man. Just prove him wrong, please. Click a big like on this one, please. Prove Trev wrong. Okay, do it.
I want honest reviews. On the YouTube comments, I want honest reviews.
You're opening up a can of worms there, mate. Don't be doing that. Come on. We're all about quality here. Quality.
Yep. Not quantity.
Well, quantity as well. We're just pumping them out.
We are. All right, mate. Great show.
Is that
really
enough?
Unbelievable. Yes,
Is that enough? Can I go now?
No, because we've got to do a private feed. Okay. See you, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Two Blokes Talking Tech with Trevor Long and Stephen Fennick.